And the material comes again from the reasoning book, and that is, does the Bible teach that sexual relations are sinful?
Today, in many parts of the world, moral conduct has become considered a personal matter. People really view sexual relations as a natural expression of affection and to be indulged in whenever they wish. It's not something that's wrong, and it's not something that's supposed to be limited to within their marriage arrangement either. Really, they feel that as long as nobody gets hurt, what's wrong with it? We can decide for ourselves how to behave. Now, in contrast, some in Christendom kind of go the other extreme. They're taught that sexual relations are shameful, they're sinful, that the original sin in the Garden of Eden was actually the sexual seduction of Adam by Eve. But such a view really is contrary to what the scriptures have to say. As a matter of fact, in the book of Genesis, it describes this first couple as the man and his wife. And Jehovah put a blessing and a command upon them. Let's turn to that in Genesis, the first chapter, in verse 28. And we'll see what Jehovah commanded them. It's a clear direction, and we'll read the first part. It says there, "Further, God blessed them, and God said to them, 'Be fruitful, become many, fill the earth.'" So, really, would it make sense on God's part to command Adam and Eve to produce children and then punish them for carrying out those instructions? It's not the God of love we're taught about in the Bible, is it? This command was actually restated when mankind had to restart again. Let's turn to Genesis, the 9th chapter. Noah has just come out of the ark, and again, what is the command that Jehovah gives? 9:1 says, "God went on to bless Noah and his sons and say to them, 'Be fruitful and become many and fill the earth.'" So we see it again. Really, in that command to our first parents, it was to produce children. That was the main focus of it. But was that it? Were they just obliged to have sexual relations just to produce children? Actually, sexual relations can fill emotional and physical needs and be a source of pleasure to a married couple. It's a way for them to express deep affection for each other. And why is this important? It's because of the prevalence of something that's stated, and we'll turn to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, verses 2 through 5. In 1 Corinthians 7, 2 through 5, Jehovah, through Paul, lets us understand why a husband and wife should be taking care of each other. It says, "But because of the prevalence of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and each woman have her own husband. Let the husband give to his wife her due, and let the wife also likewise to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but her husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but his wife does. Do not deprive each other of other except by mutual consent for an appointed time, so that you may devote time to prayer and may come together again. And note, in order that Satan may not keep tempting you for your lack of self-control." So really, it's Satan who's going to bring about the problems if there's no intimacy in marriage. But that's the blessing that Jehovah gives. Now, if there are relations outside of marriage, are there consequences? Again, let's turn to the scriptures. In Ephesians, the 5th chapter, verse 5, it's very clear, and it's very direct, Jehovah's warning. Ephesians 5:5 says, "For you know this, recognizing it for yourselves, that no sexual immoral person or unclean person or greedy person, which means being an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God." Sad consequences to this world who view sexual relations as a game, as something to be indulged in without consequences. Really, our loving Heavenly Father Jehovah has provided for mankind a way for a husband and a wife to enjoy unique closeness that is to be found only within the marriage arrangement. And thus they can avoid this gross sexual immorality, this gross sin so prevalent in the world today.